Welcome everybody. I apologize for that for that intro, but just wanted to set the tone for today's interview. So without further ado, let's bring up the regular intro. How's that?
Yeah, I got you now.
You got me now. All right. All right. All right, so welcome Matt. I've been trying to figure out how I'm going to get you on this on my little series here. Um but I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself for everybody here.
My name's Matt. I'm the co-owner of Sector 12 Paranormal, and been kind of doing this stuff for a little bit now, and kind of been born with some extra sensory activities. So that's about it for right now.
All right. So when you say extra sensory, um, what is that? What is that like on a daily? Like, give me a perspective. Like, do you wake up and you're like, fuck, you know?
Well, not exactly like the X-Men, but not also, I don't categorize it because I've seen things that normal people really wouldn't see, like shadow figures in places where people just walk by and never see it, or
Right.
other things you can't explain where you have to kind of like look twice and be like, did I just think stuff you really can't rationalize within your own mind.
Right.
And
Right.
almost all at the same time, I've had situations where I've had a dream about something and then it actually came true within like a week later.
Yeah, I've known you now for a little bit, and we've been on investigations together, and we've been around, and I can personally say, like, 9 times out of 10 when people tell me like, oh, I'm gifted, and be like, most people that come to me and tell me that, I'm just like, you know I don't know. I really have to and listen, even like, and I won't say the name, but you know who I'm talking about. Bigger names that are like, supposed to be like super, and I still until they convince me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so right, so because I wanted to put this in perspective also because
Well, I'll add real quick though on that. You've also caught me at one of my moments where I didn't even know you were in the building when I was upstairs at the Columbus Inn, like kind of like losing my.
yeah, it was definitely, you weren't normal Matt. You were like pacing, and you were, it was different. It was a different person.
Yeah, until like I actually turned around and realized you were standing there. I'm like, oh, he saw that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a ninja on site, man. I tell you what, it's hard
So
to
that's
hear.
rare oddities. Like sometimes even like when I've been to Gettysburg, I
Mhm.
feel not myself per se, and
Right.
even sometimes I'll pick up like a different dialect, like Spanish or English, or I'll come up with these, and I've never taken any foreign language as a
Right.
sub, but like I'll come out with the dialect like I would just came from England. So it's stuff I can't explain. So
Right, right. So also just recently, you and the group, I wasn't able to go, which was a bummer, but you guys went to Penhurst,
yeah,
and you actually had to kind of dip out a little early, because some shit was like weighing
yeah.
on you. Right? Tell me about that a little bit.
Okay, so the second we started driving down that road that goes into there prior to the gate to get to that building setup, I kind of was like not wanting to go. Like, if your parents ever made you go somewhere you didn't want to go, you just knew you were going and you didn't want to go.
Right.
I kind of had that feeling like, I don't want to go.
Okay.
And then when I started getting there, and I was a little agitated because, waiting on other team members to get there. And I was just kind of, my nerves were settling in, I guess. So I just wanted everything to kind of go smooth because I wasn't really feeling as easy as I should have.
Okay.
But the longer I was there, I started actually feeling like I was going to be being left there and forgotten about.
All right.
Like I really felt like I was going to be left behind and people were just going to leave. And I was more or less quiet. didn't really feel into it. And the other part that I came and explained on top of that, when we were getting a little history tour, I went back to the truck and the car alarm went off twice without any buttons in contact of anything.
Okay.
And here, got the horn going off in the quiet of the night over there, and I'm like, I'm not even touching nothing. And the vehicle is a new vehicle, and there is nothing physically wrong with it to where you would think corroded wiring or no, unexplained.
Shouldn't be having those kinds of issues.
So yeah, from then it was like a decent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just really felt like I was going to be like left behind, like as I always put the terms, like a redhead stepchild. Like I kind of felt that's it. I'm being left here, and
right.
just kind of didn't want to be bothered. Like I didn't want to be there really, and I included myself to the one room where it was the men's ward, and had the couple devices going. A couple went off, and got a couple voices come through, and kind of had a couple. Still got to go over that footage, but
Right.
after that, I was just kind of drained out, and I was like, we got to go.
Right. How long have you been involved in like paranormal investigating?
The first time I ever did anything was actually, I want to say maybe 2000 when I graduated.
Okay.
Friend I went to high school with, his house was pretty much something going on there. So him and I would just we didn't know anything about paranormal investigating. So we were, we were 17 and a half. We were poking the bear.
Yep.
And we heard, and as weird as this one situation was, there was like the floor creaked 3 times, then a non-load bearing wall that had nothing on either side of it. We heard 3 loud boom, boom, boom. And we looked at each other. We darted to the front door like in the cartoons. Him and I both stuck in the front door just trying to get the hell out. First occurrence of the paranormal field of investigating, I guess you could say, because we would ask random questions while we're hanging out at the house. Because supposedly the girl that haunted it, her name was Samantha.
Okay.
And that was passed down from a friend of the family that was kind of, I don't want to say psychic, but she was from Greece. She was heavily into the family passed down of that practice.
Right.
And she conveyed the message to them. So, we tinkered around with that, and then it started getting real crazy. We just kind of stopped, and for like 3 months, I wouldn't go over to that dude's house after that situation.
You still live in that house?
His mom does. His dad passed away, which I think there's a tie between that. I actually touched base with him not long ago on that because his dad just started getting random organ failure shut down.
Yeah.
And that was 2017. But back in the day, his mom actually was in that house with him, with the father, while my friend still lived there. And she said every time that the father was around, she would smell death.
Oh shit.
Break down crying because she thought her husband was going to die. But I think a little bit because it was a black shadow figure that was in the house, needless to say. So I think
would they let us come in and investigate?
She got a little different after the father passed.
Gotcha.
If it was that while he was still alive and working, she'd probably be totally down for it.
Yeah.
Which just
it kind of happens. They're just kind of mentally shut down,
I was kind of not mentioning it toward him, but trying to see if he would say, yeah, my mom's totally down for it.
Yeah.
It was kind of squashed.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Well, I get it. So it's
all right. Well, I wanted to get a little bit of your background and length of, investigation because, what we're doing, what I have been doing over the past couple weeks is really like analyzing and overanalyzing an abundance of evidence that I feel are well, we're gonna get into it, right? And I wanted and I sent you this earlier, and for full transparency, I didn't tell you who the team was, right, that's been gathering all this footage. I didn't give you any background on them. I didn't give you or lead you to believe that I had any preconceived notions or ideologies towards this team in particular. I just wanted to send you the clips of the videos for your own personal opinion. And we have not this. So like, as you're giving me your opinion and giving me your notes, this is the first time I'm hearing it from you. And we have not had a discussion previous to this. This is all unscripted. All right.
Needless,
I know Lori's been probably, checking out some of this stuff too. And,
yeah, get a good earshot on that situation.
oh, did she? Yeah.
So like, I even had like just had sent it to her just that way you can kind of pull it up and use her, you know, military background to check into the other details that my, maintenance field, mechanic field, logical
Right.
side. That was two different comparisons and
Right.
ideology, all that kind of, So if I would have said negative and she would have said positive, okay, it didn't make sense. But we kind of had almost the same responses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, it's difficult to, and it's just 3 clips, right? But there's so many that are listed. And I don't know if you independently looked into it, but they've got so many evidence clips that it could probably keep me good, full of content, bro, for at least a year, right? But I don't. So this is what I feel like we're dealing with. You know what I'm gonna save? I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna save that uh for the end, right? Um, so what tell me what do you know about before we get into checking out this evidence, what do you know personally about SLS?
Well, I would never actually just use that solely with a video camera as a sole piece of equipment, like using just the necrophonic and nothing else. I would have to have, cat balls, EVP kind of stuff, K2. I mean, even a pendulum on a steady base to coincide with something else.
Right.
At least 3 different pieces of equipment if that was the case.
Mm-hmm.
That way, if something seems a little offbeat, you can either debunk it while you're on site or almost repeat those questions. SLS to me, if you had an action figure, it would try to map that out. If you had a vase in a plant, it would try to map that out because the sole purpose of that device is to try to map out any human like form for the video game.
Right.
If it looks like it's not like AI intelligence, it's just computer generated kind of, hey, it looks like a person, let me try to map it. If it doesn't hold that structure, you'll see the things, and you can even do it in your own home. You can pop it up, you'll see stick figures shooting all over the place because it can't find, even like a ceiling fan, it will map a figure to a ceiling fan.
Right.
Just so if it was coinciding with an empty wall where there's like you have your other equipment or a cat ball or something, and you're like, hey, is that a stick figure popping up over there? And something else went off as well. And you might have like a Class A EVP coming through where it's a total legible word or sentence
Yeah.
at all the same time. Yeah, I more or less believe it. But if you have like, say a haunted house type scenario with props all over and you're starting to get stick figures pouncing all, I would totally throw that in the garbage unless somebody came through on an EVP and said, you just saw me.
Right.
Then I'd be like, okay, well, it's not going to totally go in a trash can just yet. I would keep
Right.
that little,
It's still debatable. It's still debatable, but
yeah. So just
so
kind
and
of
I
keep, like,
right. So just on the last point that you brought up there, haunted house with props all over the place. Um, that specific place that we went to, they were instructing us if we had an SLS camera to point it up towards the ceiling so that you weren't catching any of the props that were on, say, ground level. But we're gonna get into it because I think one of the clips that we have is actually where I'm talking about, right up in the attic. So when I share the screen and we're gonna go through it, and then we'll watch the clip and then we'll talk about it. We'll go through each one. All right. Yeah. So for everyone listening, SLS stands for Structured Light Sensor. Okay. And Matt was very right. Its design was to catch human-like shapes in say like a dark environment, or basically trying to make shape out of a shadow or something thick, right? But really any 3D object will form a stick figure per se. So when you see it, and when you see these videos and you see a stick figure pop up, keep in mind that a lot of the times the stick figures are popping up inside the actual person within the frame. So there is somebody standing in the frame. Okay. And then we're going to go into, what happens with an SLS and all that shit. So are you ready, Matt? You ready to check out this first clip here, bud?
Yeah, let's do it up.
All right, so let me here, I'm still trying to figure this thing out. We're gonna share the screen here. Are you ready, sir? Can you see this?
Yeah, it's pretty much
It's dark, and you got partial on the side here, basically the kinetic audio reading and the sensor settings and stuff over here on the side. So what you're seeing here is almost like a night vision view in the 13 frame up here, and then the 14 frame over here is the actual room itself, right, that they're in. Okay, are you ready, sir?
yep.
For anybody here that'd like to come through and communicate? Thanks. Here. Yeah. I was feeling like, and then it just kind of went away.
Something popped up for the bed.
Huh?
For the bed. What?
No, when we walked in, there was a registering, the internet on.
And then it was gone. Yeah, I kind of felt like something was gonna happen.
Right when you said something's about to happen, it mapped, but it mapped you. And when you came out of the bathroom, something for the bed.
Yeah. And then the feeling I had just went away.
Yeah, you probably scared out of the bathroom, ran right past it. Went right here.
Really?
Probably. It went right here. And it was crouching. Like it was crouching on your shoulders in there. That was the size of it. Like it was crouched down.
Oh.
So it's like you went in and found the tighting spot.
Well, something's on my leg right now, making me completely tingly again. I don't know what that is with this place.
Well,
It's weird.
if it's on your leg, it's about that size.
This place makes your legs too long. So what's up? Who's here that wants to communicate? Now it's my arms. Now my legs are cold. You don't feel any of this?
My legs are cold, but that's not bad, nothing like
No.
when we were
It's
outside.
back and it looks like it's praying
Mm-hmm.
on his knees right here.
Yeah, I got it.
And the other one's on the bench, that's the Allen.
I got freezing.
Like legit, they're holding each other's hands. Right here.
Freezing cold.
And you said this is the men's and that's the woman's. Michelle. So this is the men's, that's the woman's, and they're standing here holding hands.
Freezing cold. I don't know if they're children. I have no idea.
Um,
I can't sense what they are.
The one that was kneeling stood up. They were kneeling.
They were kneeling and they stood up.
Well, the one was standing on this, but the smaller one stood up. It's almost like we're trying to climb up the pole.
God,
Ah,
I just got zapped. I just got zapped really hard with attitude. I
And they both disappeared.
got a woman and a little kid, a little girl. That's what I got.
Could have been a little kid dancing on there.
Huh?
Could have been a little kid dancing on there.
No, I got a woman and a little girl in this room. I don't know, oh my God, that just moved.
What?
The curtain, the bed skirt there. Other side.
It's really cold right here. Alright.
Is it?
Oh, okay.
Um,
It's kneeling on the bed next to you, man. That's why. And now it's gone as you walked away.
so what I'm,
All right. All right. So thoughts, sir?
Okay, well, one, way too much contamination with other people walking around. Way too much. The camera being how unsteady it was as well. It you could see because it was trying to map out the people at certain times, but as they moved the camera, it was actually carrying out that mapped figure with it. Two, the bedposts. Now, how conveniently would two stick figures try to map to a bedpost and one bedpost in which the guy is still standing behind or the person? So that. And even at another point, you could see when they said it's a little spirit, it tried mapping the lamp out. You could see that right off the bat. And the last, when they said the spirit was like praying and the other, that was still, they were trying to map out the bedposts.
Absolutely. Well, not just the bedpost, but the guy sitting on the bed, right?
And the part where it's kneeling on the bed, say,
Yeah.
it's because all you could see on that person behind it is from basically the waist up. So it mapped out upper hand, but what it's trying to do is trying to map in legs. And because it can't find legs anywhere, it's making it look the way it did because there is no legs that it can kind of fabricate out of anything.
Right.
And the woman speaking, she doesn't really give the viewer a chance to see something. She's almost building up the suspense. So, like, if I could tell you something's red and I can beat it into your head that it's red, the more I say it's red, you're going to think something's red because it's like a psychological thing.
Right.
But the more I tell you somewhere's haunted or I'm feeling something, by me keep saying it, I'm going to make you feel haunted or cold or, like, so it's like, it's a lot of conflicting stuff in that.
Yeah.
Like,
It was
example,
very,
like I'll go with somewhere and say, what do you feel? Without me really disclosing what I feel. I'll get everybody else like, okay, well, because one, my meter dropped 3 degrees. This is why. Or I don't feel cold. Well, let me tell you, if you're in a cold area in the wintertime, you're going to be cold. If you have an iron deficiency, you're probably going to be cold. If you have poor circulation, you're probably going to be cold. So there's a lot of, if you're going to have a feeling, have a device to coincide with the way you feel.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's just my outlook on that little sitch.
So I'm gonna share this again, right? And I want to go through it. I want to go through it a little bit more here, right? So in the beginning, like as we play this in the beginning, they're like, "Oh, it's very quiet, nothing's going on," right? And then as we get to the point where they see this, as it's trying to continuously map right here, the person that just left the frame, right here, right?
Yep.
As it's trying, again, you can see it's still trying to follow.
Yep.
And it's got nowhere to go, so it's going to drop, right? Which is why you get a big jumble. You got a big jumbled mess down there. At this point, she leaves or whatever, and he claims it's at the foot of the bed. That's a pretty good stretch away from the foot of the bed. You know what I mean?
That was like 6 feet away. It's not.
Is it in front of the bed? Yes, but it's not at the foot of the bed. I think SLS 101 basics is set that fucker up on a tripod and do not move it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Or even if it's on a floor shooting down a hallway, something it's very stable and it's not going to be human error behind it.
Right. You eliminate the human error factor, right? So as they're coming through, someone walks in and says, "Oh my God, there was something there. I saw it." Blah blah blah. Right. And then here, and I think, and this is where my detective, my intelligence gathering comes in, and I think the person that's holding this SLS knows exactly what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling about that.
I think that
They know how to manipulate where it's going to kind of happen.
yes. And
And
I think so I think they know that if they move it a certain way, or if they catch somebody and then move the camera real quick, they'll get a little bit of a clip of a stick figure off of somebody, right? That's not attached to anybody. But I don't know if he's willingly being malicious about it. I think he's just not very well trained, right? And there's an awful lot of talking going on, for an investigation. It's so fucking loud in there. Everybody's got a thought. You know what I mean? Everybody's speaking out loud. Everybody's saying things. This is where you shut the fuck up. And during the analysis portion, you figure out, you say, oh, you know what? That's when you debunk it. But now you've said shit out loud,
Yeah.
and then you've got the four other people in the room that are now agreeing with you because they don't want to disagree with you because you're teammates and team members. I think that's what's so good about our team is that we're not afraid to be like, nah, that's just dust, bro. Right. And it's not anything that we're being assholes about anything. I think it's just, we're able to be honest with each other about, because you don't want to run the risk of being wrong. Right. Could you imagine if this was your house and you're, a person that doesn't necessarily believe in paranormal things, right? But you have a feeling that there's something paranormal going on. And then these jabronis walk in there and they catch 18 stick figures and they tell me that they saw 18 spirits in my bedroom. I'm burning that fucker down or I'm selling it, bro.
Yeah, that's
right. And this is what happens when you're not trained and you're not experienced enough to be doing these kinds of things.
This is like a previous team I was part of where they hung out at an inn and kind of just assumed everything off of TV channel episodes. And when you try to base your own personal experience off what you watch on TV, that's why those shows have production companies. That's why those get paid, because one, it's for entertainment.
Yep.
They're getting, and second off, they're getting paid for it. And they get to wear really tight t-shirts and look buff in front of the camera. So
yeah, but they also wear really cool dusk masks, right? So here, let's go through this.
Yeah, you probably scared it out of the bathroom.
You've probably scared it out of the bathroom. It ran right past you. Where the fuck did this dude get that from? Right? Like, where are you pulling this shit out of?
Probably. It went right here. It was just crouching. Like it was crouching on your shoulders in there. That was the size of it. Like it was crouched down.
Oh.
So it's like you went in and found the tighting spot.
Well, something's on my leg right now.
Which reminds me of a guy named Joe. Just fucking making shit up. Right?
Yeah. Him and his mom were kind of good for that, making almost building up a storyline so that way you kind of want to follow it and you got the perception that that's what is happening. And
like there's a whole story behind the stick figure now.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a whole background now, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's fucking buying that shit that's in this room. Everybody's buying it now, right?
A woman, a child, and they hide in the bathrooms. Like,
right. And then you got people, now my legs are cold, and now, oh, here we go.
Yeah, my legs are cold. You don't feel any of this? My legs are cold, but that's not bad. Nothing like, no.
It's back, and it looks like it's praying.
Mm-hmm.
On its knees right here.
Yeah, I got it.
And the other one's
in the bedposts.
Yeah, on the bedpost, right.
I got three.
Like legit, they're holding each other's hands. Right here.
At no point, legit, are they even touching. So how are they holding hands?
Yeah, that's another, building up the story.
Yeah. Oh, now one just hit the other one with a rock.
What's he going to say? Oh, yeah, somebody got shot and passed away there.
Yeah. We make up our own story, Matt. we'll just record over this audio.
And you said men's and that's the woman's. Michelle. So this is the men's, that's the woman's, and you're standing and holding hands.
I don't know if they're children. I have no idea.
Not
I
a
can't
children.
sense what they are.
The one that was married stood up.
So I mean, I don't want to go into this one anymore, but like obviously it's capturing the fucking person that's standing there.
But you hear the difference though? Man and woman, children, and then it said a little bit later that it's a woman and a child when they just said right there that they don't know who they are.
Right.
He's like, well, I feel, well, if you don't know and you're not told the history or any knowings of the situation, you're not sure, you're guessing.
Yeah, keep your fucking mouth shut. Right? Oh, all right, let's go to this next clip here. I'm about to lose my shit. Okay, so I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that this next clip is inside the Waldorf Estates of Fear in the attic. I believe. I could be wrong. Let's watch it and see if, maybe that changes. Okay?
But I'm getting, so there's.
No, just you. I have.
Really bad.
That doesn't mean he's not right on top of you.
And there's some that are right.
Mhm.
Which is where I hung out last time.
And yet,
Yes, he was supposed to come to me. See, he's
yeah.
attaching himself to me.
Well,
He's trying to. You got him?
yep.
Did he jump up?
Yep.
He jumped
Yep. He just jumped up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So you hear like almost this lady's kind of scared, right? That is narrating in the background. Get the hell out of here. It sounds like she's scared, right? But you can clearly see the fucking rafters and shit hanging off the ceiling here that this, SLS is attaching itself to, right?
Yeah.
And if you're standing in front of the SLS, it's going to map you, right? So using this as a justifiable piece, it's attached to me.
and when you did watch that other person kind of walk from right to left and walk behind,
Yep.
that the SLS, the grounding to try to map out a second person.
Right.
And
So I think this person knows that if they keep trying to come back and forth, because you see them come in, back out, and come back in, right? I think they know that it will map them. You know what I mean?
I mean, I would hope that's exactly, because otherwise than that, the way they're operating, they're contaminating their own investigation 100%
With all
just
this,
by keep walking around like that.
right? Absolutely. Let's watch it again. This is a short one.
Just you. I have.
Really bad.
That doesn't
See,
mean
they
he's not
back
right on
out.
top of you.
I feel him right
And then
on
they're gonna
top of
walk
me,
back
like
in and
there,
it'll map 'em.
where I hung out last time.
So you go moving it again.
Maybe. See, he's
yeah.
attaching himself to me.
Well,
He's trying to. You got him?
It was another person came into frame again.
yeah. He just jumped up.
Yeah. Yeah, I can feel him on me.
You saw him peel right off you, close
Yeah.
to your head, and then he went higher.
So how, like, let me ask you, Matt. If I came to you and I said, man, I've been ghost hunting for years. This is my evidence. This is my like diehard proof, bro, that I'm a professional. Right? What would you say to me, bro?
Oh, my first question would be, why is everybody walking around in the room kind of risking the contamination? Second off, I would be a little bit more curious where your other equipment was, that they would have picked up any voices or temperature change. And did you get any of the temperature change, if you did have it, on video recordings? That way it's another pretty good, sufficient piece of evidence.
Right.
And also if the magnetic fields changed or the milligauss or anything, like, was there fluctuation of any other sort at this time when those figures were in the room? And if they said, no, this is all we have, I'd be like, well, you might as well just put this in a folder and keep it there and don't label it as anything yet, because it's too contaminated. Like, even the camera moving around as much as it is, and that one person that keeps pacing, like, why are you pacing in front of an SLS that's made to map out figures when you're trying to catch spirits, if you will, and you got some person pacing back and forth, or when they're out of frame, the camera moves and comes back in the frame, and all of a sudden it pops up again. It's like, that's really not good detective work, if you will.
You know what I would say to me?
I can imagine.
I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. Right? I'll be like, look, I don't want to hurt your feelings at all. Right? And I think it's great, but I think you need a few more years of practice. But what I think you should do is instead of collecting these things on your own, I think you should try to maybe join a reputable team and then validate some of this evidence through them before you're trying to, bring it back. Right?
I mean, even how they're doing it, basic, put a REM pod in the middle of the area where they're shooting.
Absolutely.
Then be like,
at the end of the clip previous to this one, they had a REM pod, right? Did you hear it going off?
No.
In the clip previous to this one, the one with the bedposts, towards the end, they were talking about how cold it was, and I think the temperature gauge off the REM pod the alarm was going off. Right?
Well, I wasn't sure about that particular one, how close they were to like an open hallway where it would conduct a draft.
Yeah, true.
And like woman was actually standing, because if it isn't like an older house, and just say they weren't like thermal pane windows or anything, and say if they're at a top floor, you're going to get the draft rising. And if there's a hallway of any sort, hot air rises, cold air sinks. So if there is a potential draft and you have very thin jogging pants or stretch jeans, you are going to feel that draft from the hallway.
Absolutely. And if you are by the window too, if it's an older window, you are going to feel it in the cold weather. So yeah, I think this one is, I'd love to know who this person is right here, because they're really feeding into it seems like they have a very poor understanding of how an SLS operates. Right?
So if they did, I mean, I wouldn't want anybody being in front of the screen while we're shooting it, unless you were to say the person standing in frame is one of our teammates, but they're conducting something else. So if you see that is this person, they are accounted for, so that way you can pretty much debunk right on site.
Absolutely. And
if another one happens to come in or crawl across the ceiling, then you maybe talk to the people that run the building or own the home, and they'd be like, well, sometimes at night I see shadow figures on the ceiling. Okay, well, that would kind of go hand in hand. But
but I wouldn't use an SLS to validate that.
That's just like too left field, It's not
right.
Not for a sole device. I would,
100%. I agree with you 100%. We're going to go into this next clip. This one really kind of upset me when I watched it. And it's like a news story. Were you able to watch this one?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so we'll watch it and then we'll talk about it. All right. And feel free to comment as it plays. All right.
All right. So
Causing the homeowners a lot of problems.
But as News 116's Amanda Eustace reports, a new team aimed at getting rid of unwanted spirits is here to help.
Ever since the Smith-Schultz family moved into their Palmerton home in June of 2019, they say they've experienced unwanted visitors in their home, and they're not the kind you can get rid of easily.
I said, there's something in this house. It's not right. It's not nice. It doesn't feel good. So I said, let's just get a team out here, and lo and behold, we got ghosts. A lot of them too.
High Spirits of Palmerton Paranormal is a local ghost hunters team that's been investigating the spirits at the home in Palmerton. In this video, you'll see the family's basement and hear one of the group's investigators asking questions. Within seconds, a stick-like moving figure is captured by the ghost hunters' special equipment.
And that's the molding of or something. That's all that is.
Her husband started the group.
The reason we got into it was to help people. That's why we do it for free. We don't charge anybody, but we're really there to help people answer the questions that they might be wondering if they're having certain activities in their house.
Rex tells News Watch 16, by using their equipment, they were able to identify 12 ghosts in Linda Smith's home. A blessing was completed on the house, and investigators say they were able to cross over some spirits, bringing them to the next realm.
Well, we're grateful to the team. We really are. We're grateful. Seeing is believing. Yes. But when you're going through it, sometimes you think you're crazy, you're not.
Team members with high spirits of Palmerton Paranormal understand that not everybody believes, but they shouldn't rush to judgment.
What I'm saying is give an open mind. Look at the evidence, look at the paranormal team, look at the webpage, and see that we're not like other paranormal groups. We are very into the evidence that we catch, not feelings.
Now, there, right there.
About that.
Yo, hold
Okay.
up.
just alone, as she stated, she's basically already trying to sell their credibility.
Absolutely.
Well, and if you were that good with your evidence and all this other stuff, you'd be that much more positive on how to negate the things that aren't really there. And okay, well, let's move that ladder, or let's move that vase. Now let's try to see if that spirit comes back. Because as you see in that one, that first stick figure that popped right up to like a molding, and it looked like it was pencil straight. Like,
right.
Nah, and that comparison of their credibility to other teams, there's already some sort of bitterness with other people. You could tell that they're just trying to say, well, we're better.
Right. You could tell that they're like, I don't know how old this clip.
Yeah.
They do look young, Alan and Larissa there. But have you ever watched like it's a little bit off topic here, but when a tornado comes through, and like destroys all the homes, and they find the one person that's willing to give an interview, and that one person's like usually looks super shot out, man.
Yeah.
I'm over here dying, bro. But I completely get it. So this is what bothers me. Okay, I can't. I'll fucking start laughing if she stays on the screen. This is where it bothers me. They were able to identify 12 spirits and even help some pass over. Right? Like, who the fuck do you think you are, bro? You're helping spirits pass over? I've been investigating for a while, right? But I'm by no means a professional. Okay? I would never even have the audacity to even think for a second that I have the ability to help a spirit cross over, if that's even a thing. You know what I mean?
I mean, even to that point, I believe you can help move them from the location. Because most of the time, spirits, it's been documented for years, they basically come back upon memory where they were last or where they lived, and like that kind of. So it's like, if you were to die tomorrow, you're going to probably come back to the places that are most familiar to you. And like, if you think, normally, like I would say like a priest or a rabbi or a shaman, they're probably more credible in maybe crossing a spirit over because a lot of practice, a lot of years under the belt. They've probably
possibly right. I'm not saying that it's not possible, right?
But like, it's just part of a team basically saying, "Oh yeah, I crossed over 8 people yesterday." Like into the, how do you know? Like, did they say they moved? And like I said, it's evidence. Do you have factual proof that a spirit was like, I see the light, thank you, goodbye, and maybe the room got warmer by 3 degrees? Like, what made you think
the front door open and shut? Like,
yeah, something like some inkling of like somebody saying, "Yes, I see my mom. Thank you, goodbye." And you might have heard a thump or a bang on the wall, or anything. But like to shout out numbers, how many did like you don't. Like I said to you even a few times, it's hard to say you're a professional in this field because this is something that scientifically hasn't even been like, hey, this is how ghosts work. Like, it's still theories and evidence. It's not like, oh yeah, if you say the hokey pokey backwards, your grandma will manifest. Like
Step on that crack, you know.
there's no way to, some people are more in touch with the thinner veil. They can say, see people, this and that, or even the few you've come across on TV that, like a good one I kind of believe, like Chip Coffee.
Oh, I believe the shit out of Chip.
Like if he was to tell me she's gone, I would believe that. If somebody like works at a liquor store part time, smokes Marlboro Reds, and says, "Yeah, I helped somebody cross over." Well, what's your proof? Oh, I just felt it. I'm probably not going to believe that person. Like,
is it because of the Marlboro Reds?
I'll be like, "Good try."
But if there were reports, you'd believe them.
Like, not. Yeah, it's hard to put stuff like that without having any like physical proof.
Right. All right. So we've gone through these clips. Give it to me, bro. Give it to me straight. What do you think? Off the rip.
Well, as most of their stuff has said, SLS, the way they're using it, no. Any evidence I would have had using that without anything to back it up, it would go right in the trash bin. The team members that are contaminating it, walking in front of the screens, if it's intentional, put them on a probationary period and be like, if you do that again and ruin my time, most people pay to go to these locations.
Right.
And if you're contaminating your evidence like that, like whether it's your mom and brother in the background yelling to tell Allison to stop falling down the stairs a million times, or,
right.
You're contaminating your own evidence. Like,
yep.
Don't, they weren't showing any fluctuations of any other tools. And, what devices are you using? What EVPs have you captured? Like, did you get any voices come through at the same time where it was like, that's my room. Okay, you guys are here, leave. Like, no, we got stick figures. Well, I hate to tell you, but I drew stick figures in kindergarten. I mean, that doesn't make that any better. Like, if you're putting your your sole evidence mainly on what we kind of just encountered here, I would think very novice team that maybe watched too many Taps or Ghost Adventures in 2008. Like, I couldn't really say, like, I would feel better sleeping at night if they told me, yeah, we sent spirits out of your house. I would be like, no, I'm not buying it. Like,
yeah.
Like, my house is not a 7-Eleven. There's not 12 people hanging up in here, leaning, drinking their coffee, and you just cross them to the other side. And the way those SLS shots, I mean, they weren't saying, oh, it might be this, it might be that. They weren't even trying to maybe debunk some of the stuff that they're looking at.
Correct.
Like, I don't know, like, I'd be like, Mike, get out of frame and see if that thing comes back, because I think it's mapping you out to the bedpost.
Right.
But to keep constructing the way they did, I don't know. I wouldn't. I hate to be that guy, but I mean, our whole thing is like, skeptic. You need the proof. If there is no proof there, this is why people are skeptic, because if you get to believe it kind of thing, and it's not. I'm not. I mean, I wrote down some stuff here, but basically it was everything I spoke to. But like, when it maps out like the vases or brooms that you can see in the videos, or the door moldings and stuff,
right.
They didn't even try to say, okay, well, it seems like it's mapping out the doorway. Okay, well, use your camera, have somebody walk over to the doorway with a K2 and see if there's any kind of energy jump.
Right.
See if there's any electricity nearby first to make sure that's not making your equipment go off.
Mm-hmm.
They lacked a lot of their own.
There was no protocols. It didn't seem like there were any protocols, right? When they were in there, because normally, like, if you're using an SLS, if somebody walks in front, you're like, oh, that's Mike, or oh, that's Matt, right? In frame, that's what's capturing it right now. You know what I mean? And then any other anomaly outside of that, then we would try to kind of figure that out. But you have this pyramid of things you would have to cross check, right, and check off to say, like, you know what? That was a fucking stick figure, and we don't know where the fuck it came from, right?
Yeah, because I mean, every shot they had was a pretty fill room. Like it was filled with something,
Yeah.
like an empty hallway. It wasn't like a big blank wall of a warehouse, or like even in a garage. You know, you got your cars and your stuff on one side, but on the one side of the garage that's empty, you would see a shadow figure. Well, you would use your SLS on that blank wall while having other tools out to help you out.
Right.
Or even meaning dowsing rods, for crying out loud. Something else you can catch on video to coincide with what you're finding.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like if you don't have nothing except for, you know, kind of what you're seeing, and then to tell people that they have that many spirits in their home.
Oh, right.
Like are they using necrophonic to get the names? Because we've known somebody that solely relies on necrophonic. And
Well, what do you feel about necrophonic? Tell me about it.
that app to me only, well, of course, me and another teammate.
Oh, wait. How's your blood pressure before we start talking about this?
I'm a lot better from that. That had me floored watching that whole situation. And so far so good. I'm holding it right as of 1 o'clock this afternoon.
Good.
We've noticed with necrophonic itself, it has a very repetitive database.
Mm-hmm.
You will hear almost like a dissipated like scream, or as if somebody like scream and ran down a hallway. It has that like that kind of, and names.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're only getting Bridget, Allison, every time you're in a different location, or you get like a random 1952, and it's like you seem to get them everywhere.
Yeah.
Or you get like common names like Bob, Mike, Robert, Ed. That kind of stuff is, and if you're not using just say like another app to ride it, and to
Right.
see at the end of the investigation, see if you had any similar names in common.
Mm-hmm.
Like say somebody was using necrophonic and somebody was using just say a spirit box of some sort.
Right.
And they, Mike or Michael at just say like 8:55 at night. Okay, well look, we both got these names around the same time period. But when you just kind of run solo with one app, just because either you're not very knowledgeable on other ones, or you're basically just lazy and feel comfortable using one particular thing. Some people do. I mean, we've known a couple that, you know, operate solely around that one and like one old cat ball.
Wolfpack. Well, wait, no. They're going by Paranormal Paradise
With a C, because there actually is another Paranormal Paradise spelled correctly.
Oh, with the S, right? So it's Paradice is what they're using.
And he claims to take military credit for not being a military member, hence the logo. And that kind of aggravated me as well, watching that one clip it the other day, because he's trying to sell himself out as a past military person. And that's stealing valor right there to me.
Stolen valor, son. That's a federal crime.
That to me, and that's how he's trying to build his team in particular.
You ever seen that movie Single White Female?
A while ago, but
yeah, where that chick moves in with another chick and then tries to become that person, right?
Yeah, it's
Joe's. I said his fucking name. Fuck.
But
cat's out of the bag. Joe's fucking trying to be me, right? He's trying to be ex-military. He's trying to do, graphics and vinyl shit. And now he's out there doing his Paranormal Paradise fucking bullshit.
And it's just if you're gonna do yourself wrong like that team wise, you might as well not investigate. Like,
yeah, so we actually the reason why we bring him up, and I've in other videos I've brought him up, is because we've actually caught him like faking evidence. We've caught him faking history. We've caught him doing a lot of things, and this is the big reason for the big split, right? one of the many reasons for the big split.
Quite a few.
But yeah, so this is why it's, you know, relevant anyway. But yeah, so I agree with you on the necrophonic. You know, for me, spirit boxes, although the technology has become way better in this industry, I feel like a lot of the technology though has really given more people more ways to fake, right?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I mean, you have so many even computer apps out there that you can. I mean, you know, you're very well knowledgeable, just like you know my wife is as well with computers. You can do anything on a computer.
Yep.
I mean, look at anime.
Yeah.
You know, they could do all this kind of, you know, and what's saying you can't make an apparition appear somewhere using a snippet of cigarette smoke. Well, we've seen that, and put it in a cemetery.
Yeah,
make
no,
it
absolutely.
so like, and the more equipment that does come out and people get used to acclimating that equipment, then you start learning how to manipulate such equipment to your benefit. Like, you know, have somebody sit in the cemetery on a tombstone and then tell them to move and then go walk around there with a FLIR camera and say, holy shit, I'm picking up a hot spot. You know how long, you know how long the heat will stay there. You can
Right.
tell the frame, and you can pretend you're walking through a cemetery and be like, oh, look, a warm, like people are learning how to falsify evidence.
Yeah.
And especially with social media being as big as it is, even if it's bullcrap, the more viewers you get, that's like going fishing, man. You can toss the hook out with bait, you're gonna catch something.
It's actually pretty interesting that so many paranormal accounts that are displaying and showing off fake evidence inside the, you know, as real evidence. They're showing it as real, but it's so fake. They've got so many more followers than like legitimate investigators do. Right?
Yeah.
It's so wild to me. And I mean, it's like blatantly fake. I've sent you guys a few videos of like, you know, heads coming out of pots and shit like that. You know, it's so fucked up, man. Like these people are just like 100% and they're making money like being fake. And I just can't do it, bro, especially because of that homeowner that's going to bring you in because they're legitimately concerned, right? About something. I can't in good conscience be like, there's 12 spirits here. We have to help them move on or they'll never leave. You know, like who the fuck am I and where the fuck did that come from? You know what I mean? Like if you would have just told them like, listen, we caught this on the SLS, but you know, these are the explanations behind that. Other than that, we really didn't find anything. That's a non-story, right? Like if you would have told this lady like, you don't got nothing in your house, then her husband and her are gonna be like, maybe I'm fucking crazy.
Like, all right, example, like you just said, nothing in your house. There's also sometimes people need to get their homes inspected. Okay, well, if you're feeling a certain way, check for black mold, check for, because those are two things that are hallucinogenic properties and could also make you feel certain type of ways. And if your radon levels are real high or black mold, they will also make you start feeling a certain kind of way. Like, so you may not have a haunted house, you might have a high level of radon coming out of your basement.
Right, right.
Like,
but by telling that person that they have a haunted house, they're ignoring the radon problem.
Yeah.
Right. So you know, and this is why I like, you know, I like the diversity of our group because we're all experts in different things. You know what I mean? And like you bring a mechanical and electrical expertise that like otherwise I would not have known, even though you scared the shit out of my daughter and she's still super upset with you about it. Right. It's fucking...
Yeah. You're the guy
that... But you know, you bring though that expertise that if there is like faulty wiring and high EMF, that can totally be the reason why you're super paranoid and you might be seeing things, you know?
Yeah, like, I mean, good example, like when a place has a panel box that is located in a central place like the basement, and you're on the floor above you or below, and you any type of device, and it's going off, it's going electrical, you know, you're getting spikes and all that. Well, When was the last time that house was inspected? When was the last time that panel box was up to code? Are all the breakers in the panel box correctly? Are there corroded legs on the breakers? You
Right.
know, or is it just in that one certain spot in that house? Oh, well, no, we only usually get readings in that one certain spot. Well, I would have an electrician come in, check your panel box first,
Right.
if that's your concern. Or if you're telling somebody like, oh yeah, it feels like this, it feels like that, and okay, well, you got creaky doors, the squeaks you hear during the middle of the night. Well, think about it, if you're hot all day and it's cold at night, that's everything contracting or expanding.
Right.
It's all this you gotta put out there. And some of these investigators, they're not knowledge in the other things. They think everything that goes bump in the night is a ghost, or oh, it's a demon. It's a demon. Like, oh, it said the number 7. Like,
and then just take off running in the Pine Barrens. I hear
yeah,
you.
no. There's a guy I knew that used to go on the Pine Barrens all the time, and everything that came across necrophonic was a demon. You know, like,
Oh,
you basically, what I'm trying to say is you have to have compiled evidence to back up anything you may feel is a haunting or a spirit, or unless you have somebody that's in the field where they are a medium of some sort and they tell you something that you already have evidence of and they have no idea of it and they told you the same thing.
right.
Then you,
right.
okay. But you know, if you're just somebody trying to get attention and going to somebody's house and saying, you got a demon, like, no, that don't fly, man. Like, I don't.
The power of Christ compels you. Just start fucking walking around. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like,
yeah, I think that, you know, I think that's great. I get sent these clips. I get sent these clips and they want me to, you know, take a look at them, but I'm like, I think I want to make this more fun. You know what I mean? So I think what I'm going to do, maybe if you're okay with it, more often I'll send you the clips that people send me and we'll do this. Right. And we'll,
even down to the one thing I do not agree with on by any means is if a spirit is not harming you of any sort, there's no need to chase that spirit from the location.
right.
I mean, like, it could have been the old man that built the house. He just loves the house. He wants to stay there. And maybe he was a hermit and he didn't really have any family. Yeah, he might walk around, you might catch him, or maybe the porch light goes on once in a while, but he's harmless. Leave them be, because I've seen many situations where people make something worse by trying to like provoke it some sort of way, or maybe bring in holy water or conduct a Lord's Prayer, and it ends up being, just say like Native American. They don't believe in that type of religion per se, so that's not normal to them. Well, you into that house and you cut down a buttload of trees, you burn copper wire in your backyard. I'm sorry, but you know, if I was a spirit of a Native American fellow, or I would not be down with that, and I would be trying to chase property. You know, so you also got to understand the locations, the history. You know, were they Quakers that settled in, and you know, they were very religious people to a point, and you were doing stuff out of wedlock and drugs, and that would have never flew back in the day. So,
hell no, right?
You know, is that what keeps slamming your front door? Maybe these people are coming back to let you know that you're not doing something right. You know, but why are you gonna chase them away? You know, so sometimes I just don't agree to people always wanting to chase something away. Like, you know, that dude's been here for 200 years. I mean, you know, or if it's a little girl that passed away from, you know, any type of sickness back in the day. You know, she's 1.5 years old and passed away. She don't understand why she's there.
Well, that's why I like my house too, man. Right? I'm not trying to chase anything out of my house. I love my house. Right? And I think everything here is like a personality. And you've been here, you know.
Yeah, you got a good quite couple, well, especially upstairs.
Yo, the hallway, son.
I've heard a German conversation in your, not let alone hearing a woman's voice myself in the one room.
Right.
But like, there's a lot going on there, but you got to figure too, if that was what they did in the day, maybe they're still residing, you know, on the other side of the veil in your house at a different point in time. You know, like, they're not harming anybody. Like, why go chase crucifixes and holy water? You know, like, but that's, people do that to build their team up or build their credibility and say, oh yeah, we chased them away. Well, if you're building on false evidence and there's nothing really there, you did nothing but put a show on.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of, like I said, like, it doesn't help that most of our team are kind of skeptics, but you kind of have to be to a point. You can't go in everything is evidence.
Yes, I think we have a very good blend, right? I think we have a good blend of. I don't think it's good to be a 100% like, all believer, right? Because then you negate a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to have that happy medium. I'm a skeptic, but I believe, right? But I have an SOP, a standard operating procedure of when I'm gonna believe, right? And you got to check all these boxes off. And if I'm leaving anything unchecked, it's because it's not fucking real, right? So for me, that's the way it is. But I'm a little bit more analytical. And if I can't explain it, then by definition, that to me is paranormal, right? Whether it's a spirit from the other side or just something I can't personally explain, it is what it is, and maybe one day I'll figure that out. Who I'm really excited for to come to the Historical Society is Ron Iacovetti, bro.
Yeah.
I can't tell you. I was just so fucking just mind blown when he did that digital seance on the second floor of the Columbus Inn. And it sounded like a middle school cafeteria with all these conversations going on. To me, I was just like blown away by that, right? I cannot wait to get him in the Historical Society and turn that thing on.
Now, see, without saying too much on that, there's those certain 2 spots to me that I would like only because what we've gotten out of that whole place.
Yeah.
And to see exactly, because if he had what he had going on and with our little bit of information and the orbs we've caught.
Right.
Oh, and you know what happened in the one room with me.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I said her name and then her name was in that room, and let alone seeing the face that came up in the mirror.
Right.
And then go to find out that mirror was historically tied to that location.
That's interesting. When I heard that, I was like, wow, that's fucking crazy.
You figure that's roughly 1825, I believe, that building.
Something like that.
Well, the original, I think, was 1825. And the second edition, there was no actual recorded date when that was added on.
Right.
But back need permits if you were farmers to build a house. You just kind of came over on a weekend, fed them dinner, and then you had a 3-bedroom addition.
Right.
Yeah, like that building alone, we're starting to get very used to, like the one room with the little girl. That was the Christmas. That little girl came back. Also, that was the same room I told you I had seen somebody peek out from behind the Christmas tree.
That's her tree, bro.
So that is, going on with one of the members of that organization.
Yeah.
That when they took down, they heard a girl cry. So that's 4 different accounts of, not let alone the REM pod that was going off. Even when we batteries and switch REM pods, it still went off in that room.
Yep.
And so that'll be interesting to see what he gets, because he's on that different level of his like seance
frequencies, right? Well, next weekend we got a thing going there, which is going to be interesting, right? Is that next weekend? Friday and Saturday, or Friday or Saturday?
18 or something?
Yeah, 17, 18. Something like that. I'll find out for sure. Or you can message, the scheduler. That's what I'll call the schedule.
Yeah, I do stuff rough handed. Yeah. The boss is usually on tap with the rest of it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, she can handle all that.
But yeah, that's a very heavy spot. Well, I'm just gonna say this in short. I don't want to. If he happens to see this, I don't want to give him too much. So I don't like telling anybody anything like history of stuff. I'd rather people find out.
Right.
But that one example, that one night, I thought I had seen something weird in the basement. Well, later on that night, that's when you got sick as hell.
I remember when you were like, "Oh fuck, we shut the door." You know what I mean? Like it was
only it didn't look humanoid to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well, to me, hey, if I don't see anything, I'll just shut the damn door, lock it, and we'll deal with that later on.
Yeah.
And down the basement later, and you got pretty sick.
that's the first time that has ever happened to me like that. Right? I've never been squeamish. I've never been anything. Yo, I puked my guts out upstairs. It was a very strange feeling for me. But it's also the same place where I got scratched pretty bad.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like from the top of my neck all the way to like the top of my butt crack, bro. I got scratched bad up there, down there, right? And I've been trying real hard to not be intimidated by that and to show I'm not intimidated by that. The fuck was that?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that?
Well, oh,
Yeah, what was that?
you were being laughed at by my boss.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, so I've been trying really hard not to be intimidated by being, you know, fucked up down there. And then I just fucking got real sick, man. And like I had to run upstairs. Like I puked my guts out upstairs. It was wild.
And yet we've had a couple growls and hisses also on recording and audible.
Yeah, audible.
Oh. And that wasn't, you know, even to the one point I think Eric was next to me the one time he thought it was my stomach, and it was actually behind us, and he was like, and I hate to say it did repeat on Todd's device he had. It repeated like demon a couple times.
Right. I remember that. I remember Carmela also like freaked out. She ran out of there. She ran out. She heard a growl. Yeah.
We waited it out because, you know, you just don't hear a word and take off.
Yeah.
But when, a little bit more consecutively, and then yeah, he was like, fuck your couch. And he was
yeah, he said, fuck your couch, I'm out, right?
He's got to trademark that onto a shirt. That's
I'm gonna make him a shirt that says that, fuck your couch.
But
Fuck your couch.
But yeah, but I mean, as far as going back on just solely using the SLS,
yeah,
as far as it being a device to play video games, that's about as far as I would use that alone is for games. Other than that, the more equipment to back up your evidence, the better. And don't contaminate it by having people walking around while you're trying to freaking film.
Right.
Like, don't do it, man. Like, if you know there's a freaking highway, you're not going to play hacky sack in the middle of the fucking highway. You're not going to.
Right.
If you're going to use SLS in an empty room, don't have a bunch of jabronis walk around in front of you. Just don't. Don't.
That's right. That's right.
Because it doesn't give you evidence. It just takes away your credibility. And like, what are you guys doing? You're all bouncing around the freaking room. Like, don't do it.
That's yeah.
So
all right, man.
Fine. Use it.
Yeah. I appreciate you coming on, man, and giving us your 2 cents on all this. If people want to know a little bit more about your organization, where can they find you?
Sector 12 Paranormal on Facebook, and I believe Sector 12 Paranormal.com.
Yes, that's correct.
I usually run the Facebook. I really haven't been on the website. That's a little out of my technology.
Right. So if they wanted to, they could fill out a form online and or email you directly, or how would they?
Form, email, even I believe there is a phone number posted to the website.
Okay.
And Facebook is, of course, open to follow and leave messages, or there's a bunch of members. You could either inbox anybody, really, but
except me. Don't message me.
His name's Michael Castro.
Whoa, my government name. Oh shit. All right.
Well, it kind of popped up on your podcast. Yeah, I just read it.
That's so funny. All right, brother. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you coming on.
All right,
and, yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, maybe next week when I get another flood of evidence, because I'm pretty sure that this is going to prompt like another fucking bunch of evidence coming my way. So
yeah, maybe more really dark rooms with a bunch of people walking around.
Oh, that would be great. It's fucking perfect, right? All right, man. Hey, listen, thank you very much. You guys check out Sector 12 Paranormal on Facebook, or Sector 12 Paranormal, all spelled correctly, right? .com. and reach out. All right. Hey man, I appreciate you coming on.
And no problem, Mike.
All right, see you, buddy.
Good day.